John Gordon Melton is an American religious scholar who was the founding director of the Institute for the Study of American Religion and is currently a research specialist in religion and new religious movements with the Department of Religious Studies at the University of California, Santa Barbara. He is a distinguished senior fellow at Baylor University's Institute for Studies of Religion. He is an ordained minister in the United Methodist Church, and he is affiliated with the New Cult Awareness Network, an organization operated by the Church of Scientology. He is the author of more than 25 books, including several encyclopedias, handbooks, and almanacs on American religion and new religious movements. He lives in Santa Barbara, California. His areas of research include major religious traditions, new religions and alternative religions, occultism and parapsychology, New Age, and vampirology. Early life. Melton was born in Birmingham, Alabama, the son of Burnham Edgar Melton and Inez Parker. In 1964 he graduated from Birmingham Southern College with a B.A. degree and then proceeded to theological studies at Garrett Theological Seminary. He married Dorothea Dudley in 1966, with one daughter, Melanie. The marriage ended in divorce in 1979. His second wife is named Susie. In 1968, Melton was ordained as an elder in the United Methodist Church and remains under bishop's appointment to this day. He was the pastor of the United Methodist Church in Wyanett, Illinois, and then at Evanston, Illinois. He was also a member of the Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship. Graduate Studies. Melton received a Master of Divinity degree from Garrett Theological Seminary with a concentration in church history. Melton pursued further graduate studies at Northwestern University where he received his Ph.D. in 1975 in the history and literature of religions with a specialty in American history. His doctoral dissertation surveyed some 800 religious groups known to exist in the United States at the time and led to the development of a classification system that has come to be widely used. Melton recounts that, vocationally, the most influential force in my life was the writings of a man I never met but who became my hero, Elmer Talmadge Clark, while my contemporaries became enthused with UFOs, Elvis Presley, or Alabama football. During my last year in high school, one of Clark's books, The Small Sects in America, captured my imagination. After reading it, I wanted to consume everything written on American alternative religions, methodology and writing, reference works. Much of Melton's professional career has involved literary and field research into alternative and minority religious bodies. In taking his cue from the writings of Elmer Clark, Melton has spent almost 4 decades in identifying, counting and classifying the many different churches, major religious traditions, new religions and alternative religions found in North America. His Encyclopedia of American Religions, which was originally published in 1978, has become a standard work of reference that outstrips the number of groups that Clark was able to identify and classify in the 1940s. Other noteworthy reference works include his Biographical Dictionary of American Cult and Sect Leaders, Encyclopedia of Occultism and Parapsychology, New Age Almanac, and Primetime Religion. He has also acted as the series editor for 4 different multi-volume series of reference books: The Churches Speak, Cults and New Religions, Sects and Cults in America Bibliographical Guides, and Religious Information System series. Several of these reference works provide significant information for the study of American religious history and church history. He is a contributor to academic journals such as Syzygy and Nova Religio. He has also contributed chapters to various multi-author books on new religions, and articles in many other reference works, handbooks and encyclopedias of religion. Research emphasis. Melton's major emphasis has been on collating primary source data on religious groups and movements. His approach to research is shaped, in part, by his training in church history, but also in the phenomenology of religion. His methodology has followed that of a historian seeking primary source literature, and so he has generally made direct, personal contact with the leaders or official representatives of a church or religious group. The purpose of such contact has been to obtain the group's main religious literature to ascertain the principal teachings and practices. His inquiries also comprise gathering membership statistics, details of the group's history and so forth. These details then take shape in the profiles Melton drafts up in reference texts like the Encyclopedia of American Religions. Melton uses a group's religious texts as the essential mainstay for reporting about a group before then proceeding to scholarly questions and analysis about the wider social, religious and historical contexts. Main areas of research: Christian countercult and secular anti-cult. Melton is one of the more prominent critics of the anti-cult movement and some Christian counter-cult organizations, pointing out that since colonial times many U.S. Christian theologians, pastors, missionaries and apologists have questioned the legitimacy of other religious groups and teachings. Some of Melton's criticisms concerning the secular anti-cult movement revolve around his rejection of the concept of brainwashing as an explanation of religious conversion and indoctrination. During the 1970s and 1980s he was a prominent opponent of the controversial methods of deprogramming. He argued that deprogramming violated civil liberties and the religious freedom principles guaranteed in the U.S. Constitution, and that the efficacy of deprogramming a counter-brainwashing stratagems was doubtful. In his encyclopedic Handbook of Cults in America he drew an academic distinction between the Christian counter-cult movement and the secular anti-cult movement. He made the distinction on the grounds that the two movements operate with very different epistemologies, motives and methods. He was also urged to make this distinction in the course of a formal dialogue with evangelical sociologist Ronald N. Roth, and also after conversations with Eric Pement of Cornerstone magazine. This distinction has been subsequently acknowledged by sociologists such as Douglas E. Cowan and Eileen Barker. Questions the validity of critical former members' testimony. Melton challenges the validity of anti-NRM sources and the testimonies of former members critical of the previous groups. While testifying as an expert witness in a lawsuit, Melton asserted that when investigating groups, one should not rely solely upon the unverified testimony of ex-members, and that hostile ex-members would invariably shade the truth and blow out of proportion minor incidents, turning them into major incidents. Melton also follows the argumentation of Lewis Carter and David Bromley and claims that as a result of the study, the treatment of former members as people in need of psychological assistance largely ceased, and that a lack of widespread need for psychological help by former members of new religions would in itself be the strongest evidence refuting early sweeping condemnations of new religions as causes of psychological trauma. This view was shared by several religious scholars and contested by others. New Age. In a paper presented at the Conference on New Age in the Old World held at the Institut Ecumenique de Bossy, Salini, Switzerland, Melton presented his views on the New Age movement, stating that it led to a dramatic growth of the older occult, metaphysical community, and created a much more positive image for occultism in Western culture. He believes that the community of people it brought together has grown grown to be one of the most important minority faith communities in the West. Vampirism research. Melton has researched the history of vampires, as well as the study of contemporary vampiric groups and rites. In 1983, he served as editor for Vampires Unearthed by Martin Ricardo, the first comprehensive bibliography of English-language vampire literature. In 1994, he completed The Vampire Book, an encyclopedia of the undead. He has also written The Vampire Gallery, a who's who of the undead. In a 2000 Speak magazine interview, Melton comments on how he first became interested in the subject of vampires, stating that his interest in the subject started during college days. He stated that, during the 1990s, vampires began to consume my leisure time. In 1997, Melton, Massimo Intravine and Elizabeth Miller organized an event at the Westin Hotel in Los Angeles where 1,500 attendees came for a creative writing contest, Gothic rock music and theatrical performances. In the TSD annual colloquium, Therapy and Magic in Bram Stoker's Dracula and Beyond, held in Romania in 2004, it was announced that Melton and Intravine would be participating in the TSD conference Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, in Nashville, TN in 2004. Melton was titled as the Count Dracula Ambassador to the U.S. Melton is the president of the American chapter of the Transylvanian Society of Dracula. This chapter appears to be inactive, as most English-speaking members join the Canadian chapter. Amicus Curiae. Melton, together with a group of scholars and the American Psychological Association, submitted on February 10, 1987 an amicus curiae brief in a pending case before the California Supreme Court related to the Unification Church. The brief stated that hypotheses of brainwashing and coercive persuasion were uninformed speculations based on skewed data. The brief characterized the theory of brainwashing as not scientifically proven and advanced the position that this commitment to advancing the appropriate use of psychological testimony in the courts carries with it the concomitant duty to be vigilant against those who would use purportedly expert testimony lacking scientific and methodological rigor. Encyclopedia Britannica contributor. Melton is the second most prolific contributor to the Encyclopedia Britannica, after Christine Sutton. He has contributed 15 Micropedia articles, generally on religious organizations or movements. Aum Shinrikyo, Branch Davidian, Christian Science, Church Universal, Ek Anchor, Evangelical Church, The Family, Hare Krishna, Heaven's Gate, Jehovah's Witnesses, New Age Movement, Pentecostalism, People's Temple, Scientology and Wicca. Aum Shinrikyo investigation. In May 1995, in the early stages of investigations into the sarin gas attack on the Tokyo subway, Melton, fellow scholar James R. Lewis and religious freedom lawyer Barry Fisher flew to Japan to voice concern at police behavior, including mass detentions without charge and the removal of practitioners' children from the group, might be infringing the civil rights of Aum Shinrikyo members. They had traveled to Japan at the invitation and expense of Aum Shinrikyo after they had contacted the group to express concern over developments, and met with officials over a period of 3 days. While not having been given access to the group's chemical laboratories, they held press conferences in Japan stating the belief, based on the documentation they had been given by the group, that the group did not have the ability to produce sarin and was being scapegoated. Melton revised his judgment shortly after, concluding that the group had in fact been responsible for the attack and other crimes. The scholar's defense of Aum Shinrikyo led to a crisis of confidence in religious scholarship when the group's culpability was proven. Criticism. As a scholar who reports on new religious movements without condemning those groups, Melton has received criticism from scholars and organizations, especially from the anti-cult movement, that feel that new religious movements are dangerous and that scholars should actively work against them. Stephen A. Kent and Teresa Krebs published a critical article, When Scholars Know Sin, in which they characterize Gordon Melton, James R. Lewis, and Anson Schuper's bias towards the groups they study. Bibliography. Books, Log Cabins to Steeples, The United Methodist Way in Illinois, a directory of religious bodies in the United States, an Old Catholic source book, an open letter concerning the local church, Witness Lee and the God-Men controversy, magic, witchcraft, and paganism in America, a bibliography, compiled from the files of the Institute for the Study of American Religion, ISBN 0824093771. Revised edition co-authored with Isotopoggi, Garland, 1992. The Cult Experience. Responding to the New Religious Pluralism. Why Cults Succeed Where the Church Fails. Encyclopedic Handbook of Cults in America. Biographical Dictionary of American Cult and Sect Leaders. American Religious Creeds. New Age Almanac. Perspectives on the New Age. Islam in North America, a source book. Sex, Slander, and Salvation, Investigating the Family, Children of God, Encyclopedia of Occultism and Parapsychology, Editor, 4th ed. ISBN 978-08103-54876, 5th ed. ISBN 978-08103-94896. Finding Enlightenment. Ramtha's School of Ancient Wisdom, Beyond Words Publishing, Inc. Hillsboro, Oregon, ISBN 1-885223-617. American Religions, An Illustrated History. The Church of Scientology, Signature Books, ISBN 1-560851392, 80 pp. The Vampire Book, The Encyclopedia of the Undead, ISBN 0810322951. Primetime Religion, An Encyclopedia of Religious Broadcasting. Oryx, 1997. Melton's Encyclopedia of American Religions, Thomson Gale, 8th edition, 1416 pp. ISBN 0-7876-96966. Cults, Religion, and Violence, David Bromley and Gordon Melton, eds. Cambridge University Press, 272 pp. ISBN 0-521-668-980. Religions of the World, A Comprehensive Encyclopedia of Beliefs and Practices, ABC Clio, 1200 pp. ISBN 1-57607-223-1. J. Gordon Melton, The Counter-Cult Monitoring Movement in Historical Perspective in Challenging Religion. Essays in honor of Eileen Barker, James A. Beckford and James T. Richardson, eds. 102-113. Encyclopedia of Protestantism, Facts on File Publishing, 628 pp. ISBN 08160-54568. Scholarly Assessments. Derek Davis. Review of the Church of Scientology, Journal of Church and State, 42 quarters, 851-852. P.G. Davis. Review of Biographical Dictionary of American Cult and Sect Leaders, Religious Studies and Theology, 9, 101-103. James L. Garrett. Review of Encyclopedic Handbook of Cults in America, Southwestern Journal of Theology, 33, 69. Jeffrey Haddon. Review of Primetime Religion, Journal for the Scientific Study of Religion, 36, 634. Stephen A. Kent and Teresa Krebs. When Scholars Know Sin, Alternative Religions and Their Academic Supporters, Skeptic, 6/3, 36-44. Also see J. Gordon Melton, Anson D. Shoup and James R. Lewis When Scholars Know Sin. Forum reply to Kent and Krebs, Skeptic, 7/1, 14-21. Philip Jenkins, Mystics and Messiahs, Cults and New Religions in American History.